The crossover you've been waiting for is finally here. The heroes and monsters of the Forgotten Realms have ventured into Magic. These packs contain iconic characters from Dungeons & Dragons ready to join your favourite deck. While your path may be fraught with peril, magnificent rewards await you in the end. Hello everyone, my name is Elspeth, you're watching the Planeswalker Pantheon. Today, we are opening up a draft booster box of Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the latest set. Anyways, enough about that, let's get to the shall we? We got some great art of Dritz to Earn and fighting Tiamat right here. And we'll just move that to the side and we will get to the first pack. Seeing as these are the Japanese style packs, we'll open them in the way that, they deemed possible. So we've got a Dungeon of the Mad Mage token, we've got a foil leather armor. And our rare is actually a Wizard Spellbook. So for 5 and 2 blue, you get an artifact. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, roll a d20, and activate it as a sorcery. If you roll 1 to 9, you copy that card, you may cast the copy. Roll 10 to 19, you copy that card, you may cast the copy by paying 1 rather than its mana cost. And if you roll the natural 20, you copy each card exiled with the Spellbook. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. And as our uncommons, here we have a Mind Sorcerer, Aberrant Mind Sorcerer Targnar, and Tiger Tribe Hunter, as well as some commons there. Oh, and we've also got our basic land. So some commons and a basic land. Alright, next pack. Alright, so we've got a treasure token, an island, and we've actually got our first mythic of the box. It's the Deck of Many Things. So for 5 mana, get a legendary artifact. 2 and tap, roll a d20 and subtract the number of cards in your hand. If your result is 0 or less, discard your hand. If that end result happens to be a 1 to 9, return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. 10 to 19, you draw 2 cards, and if you happen to roll the natural 20 after working everything else out, you put a creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When that creature dies, the owner loses the game. Got a Loathsome Troll, Keen-Eared Sentry, and Power Word Kill as our uncommons, and a bunch of commons right here. Alright, next pack. Alright, so got a Dungeon of the Mad Mage token right there. Got a mountain. Oh, and we've actually got a module artwork of Hall the Storm Giants. So it's a land. If you control 2 or more other lands, it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add blue, and if you pay 5 and a blue, the land becomes a 7/7 blue giant creature with ward 3, and it's still a land. Got a Power of Persuasion, Talarasa Moondancer in the rulebook artwork, and a Monk of the Open Hand as our uncommons. And a bunch of commons right here. Alright, next up. Oh, we've got a Loth emblem right here. Got a swamp. And our rare is an Oswald Fiddlebender. So for 1 and a white, you get a legendary creature, Gnome Artificer, with magical tinkering as a 2/2. Pay white and tap and sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value and put it into the battlefield and shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. They're so terrified of Birthing Pod. We've got a Hannah Pashar, Barbarian class, and Eccentric Apprentice as our uncommons for the pack. Alright. Next up. Alright, so we've got a regular token which no one cares about. Got a swamp. Oh, we've got a foil Evolving Wild. That looks really pretty. And our rare is True Polymorph. So for 4 and 2 blue, you get an instant. Target artifact or creature becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature at instant speed, I might add. We've got Guild Thief, Talarasa Moondancer as a normal, and a Green Dragon as our uncommons for the pack. I'd love to draft the set. I just hope lockdown eventually ends before the set goes out of rotation for draft. I want to try and draft it on Arena, but if I can, I'd like to draft it in person at least once. So we've got a Tome of Annihilation, got a Plains, and we've got a Long Rest. So for X and triple green, you get a sorcery. Return X target cards with different mana values from your graveyard to your hand. If 8 or more cards are returned to your hand this way, your life total becomes equal to your starting life total, exile Long Rest. We've got you find some prisoners, Warlock class, and a Chaos Channeler as our uncommons. We've also got a Direwolf Prowler as our rulebook card in this pack. Some commons there. Alright, next up. A regular old token. We've got a mountain. We've got a foil wild shape, which I think might see play in maybe Modern Infect. We've got our rare here is a werewolf pack leader. So for 2 green, you get a creature human werewolf. This thing has been an absolute beater on Incendium Arena. So it's a 2 mana, 2 green for a 3/3 with pack tactics. When it attacks, if you're attacked with creatures with total power of 6 or greater this combat, you draw a card, and you can pay 3 and a green to have it turn into a 5/3 gaining trample, and it is inhuman, so it just fully turns werewolf. Also got a wizard class, a Reaper's Talisman, and a cleric class as our uncommons. Oh, we've got a Baleful Beholder as our neat rulebook artwork card as well. But those are all of our commons there. Alright, next up. Alright, so we've got the Tomb of Annihilation as our token. Got a mountain. Oh, we've got an alternate a rulebook artwork of Zorn. So for 2 and a red, you get a creature elemental. It's a 3/2. If you create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. Got a Keen-Eyed Sentry, Drider, and a White Dragon as our uncommons. Oh, we've got the Evolving Wilds as our module or slash rulebook card as well, which is really neat. I actually do like those module slash rulebook cards. Like, I wasn't around for, original D&D, but like just the look of them just really invokes something real cool within me. Alright, next up. Got the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Got a Plains. Oh, we've got a Nadar Selfless Paladin, which has also been doing pretty well in Stand from what I've been seeing. So for 2 and a white, you get a legendary creature Dragon Knight. It's a 3/3 with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield or attacks you, venture into the dungeon. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. Got a Lurking Roper, Demogorgon's Clutches, and a Goblin Morningstar as our uncommons for the pack. Shambling Ghast I really like as a common. You know, who doesn't love a Festering Goblin with the addition of Making Mana, if you want so choose. I've actually been playing a red-black sort of treasures list, actually, instead myself. So we've got a Devil token, got a Mountain, we've got a Wish as our rare. So for 2 and a red, you get a sorcery. You may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. We've got a Lurking Roper in the rulebook artwork. A Iron Golem and a Displacer Beast are our uncommons, and we'll just flick through all of these commons real quick. Alright, next up. Oh, got a Fairy Dragon token right there. Got a Plains. Oh, hey, we've got a foil alternate art Ellie Tumblestrom. That looks real pretty. So for 2 and 2 green, you get a legendary Planeswalker Eliwick. She has 4 loyalty. If you +1, you venture into the dungeon. If you -2, you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. If it's legendary, you gain 3 life. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order, and you can -7, and where it gives you an emblem of creatures you control have trample and haste, and get +2/+2 for each differently named dungeon you've completed. That's really pretty. I hope the camera's picking up that foiling in the artwork really nicely. Our normal rare is Varus Silvery Moon Ranger. So for 1 and 2 green, you get a legendary creature, Human Elf Ranger. It's a 3/3. It's Breach. Ward 1. This thing has Reach. Please remember that. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn. And whenever you complete a dungeon, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So that's a pretty good pack. Got an Eliwick and a Varus. Got a Prosperous Innkeeper, a Dungeon Map, and a Red Dragon as our uncommons. And we'll flick through those. That was actually a pretty cool pack to open. Who says draft boxes can't give you cool packs to open? That's some hokey there. Alright, so we've got a Lost Mine of Fandelver, probably the mine that you'd first want to go to with Ellie. A Forest. We've got a foil Baron of Clan Unda. And we've got a ranger class. This thing has been tearing up standard as well, actually. So for 1 and a green, you get an enchantment class. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. You can level it up to level 2 by paying 1 and a green. Whenever you attack, you put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. And if you pay 3 and a green to level up to the 3rd level, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Got a Power of Persuasion, Critical Hit, and a Farida, Devil's Chosen in the rulebook artwork, which looks real cool there. Oh, we've got a Digin Wanderer as well as the rulebook art, as a rulebook artwork card. So that's a nice 2-for-1 there. Alright. Pardon me. Next pack. Alright, so we've got the Lost Mines. Got a Forest. Oh, we've got a Bard class. I've actually come across a few decks playing this as well. So, Bard class, for a red and a green, legendary creatures you control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Legendary spells you cast cost red and green less. To cast, this effect only reduces the amount of coloured mana you pay. And for 3 red and green, for the 3rd level, whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. We also have a Sudden Insight, Critical Hit, and we've got a full art Black Dragon as our uncommons right there. And we've got a Goblin Javelineer as a rulebook card as well. We'll just flick through the rest of these and we'll go to the next pack. Got the Tome of Annihilation here. Got a Forest, and we've got a Fighter class. So for red and a white, you get an enchantment class. When it enters the battlefield, you search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. If you pay 1 red and a white to level it up to level 2, equipped abilities you activate cost 2 less to activate. And for 3 red and a white, whenever your creature you control attacks, put up to one target creature blocks it this combat if able. We've also got a Feywild Trickster, which is what makes those really cute fairy dragons. A Moonblessed Cleric and a Wandering Troubadour as our uncommons for the pack. We've got a Neverwinter Dryad as our neat rulebook card as well. Alright. Next up. There's our Wolf for our range class. Got a Swamp. We have a Teleportation Circle, so for 3 and a white, you get an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. We've got a Gretchen Titchwillow as our rulebook card right there. A Warlock class and a Portable Hole, which are actually worth a little bit of money, believe it or not, as our uncommons. And when I say a little bit of money, I mean like a couple of bucks. But hey, anything, right? If it provides value for trade, I'm happy to trade them. Alright, so we have the Tomb of Annihilation. Got an island. Oh, wow! We've got a full bordered alternate art Tiamat. So for 2 white, blue, black, red, and green, so the full Werberg, you get a legendary creature Dragon God. It's a 7/7 with flying. When Tiamat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. So that's a nice little pickup there. We've also got Gretchen Titchwillow Normal, Cloister, Gargoyle, and a Portable Hole as our uncommons. Alright, we'll just flick through the rest of those. I've been looking for a Tiamat, actually. So I'm really happy that I got the really cool full art one. Alright. Next up. We've got a Dungeon of the Mad Mage, a Mountain, and a Forsworn Paladin. This has been in that treasure deck that I've been playing around with. So for 1 mana, you get 1 black, you get a creature, human knights, of 1/1 with menace. 1 in the black, tap it, pay a life, create a treasure. For 2 in a black, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. If a mana from a treasure was spent to activate this ability, that creature also gains Death Touch until end of turn. You happen on a Glade, Rust Monster as our rulebook card right there, and Blue Dragon as our uncommons, and we will flick through the rest of these. I'm sorry I don't really have any cool stories, really, because I haven't had the chance to actually play Limited, at least in paper, because, let's be real, as much as I can tell stories of playing Magic on Arena, the stories don't hit the same as if they were playing it in person, especially with a set like this where dice rolls are involved. Got a Lost Mine of Thandelver, got a forest, and we've got another teleportation circle. Our uncommons are Feywild Trickster, Burning Hands, which is seeing a lot of sideboard play actually, and a full art green dragon right there. Alright. Like, I just love the flavour of the set. Like, D&D is a relatively new love and passion for me. I can blame Critical Role for that one, because I watched the whole Campaign 2. I do want to go back and watch Campaign 1, but I've been enjoying Exandria Unlimited, which is the mini-series that they've been doing. And I've been wanting to get myself into a campaign myself for a long time now, because I've had toy ideas for characters I haven't gone to play with yet. Forest, we've got a foil Trickster's Amulet. And we've got a Dungeon Descent. So it's a land, enters the battlefield tapped. You tap to add a colours, or for 4 untap, and tap a untapped legendary creature, venture into the dungeon. We also have Fly, Battlecry Goblin, which is very, very good by the way, and Power Word Kill. Battlecry Goblin I think is probably one of the best uncommons in this set. Like, you know, there are games where just out of nowhere, the game just ends because they just weren't ready for the goblin. Alright, next up. Ooh, we've got Dritzt's Cat Companion Guinevere. Got a forest, and we've got a foil Magic Missile, good old classic magic spell. Good old classic D&D spell there. And we've got a Flumph. It's a 1 and a white creature jellyfish. It's an 0/4 with defender and flying. And when it's dealt damage, you and target opponent each draw a card. We've got a Trickster's Talisman, Shessara, Death's Whisper, and a Druid class as our uncommons. And we will just quickly flick through the rest of these. Alright. Next up. Got Lost Mines, got an island. Oh, we've got another mythic here in Mordenkainen. So for 4 and 2 blue, get a legendary planeswalker Mordenkainen. He starts with 5 loyalty, +2, draw 2 cards, then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library. -2 to create a blue dog illusion token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to twice the number of cards in your hand. And if you're -10, you can exchange your hand and library, then shuffle. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. The dogs that come with Mordenkainen can get quite large, I've noticed. The Kaidel of Baldur's Gate, Dragon's Disciple, and a Grim Wanderer as our uncommons. But yeah, I've come across my fair share of Mordenkainens in Standard, and the dog tokens can be quite large. They can be quite large good boys. Next pack. Alright, next up. So we've got the Tomb of Annihilation, we've got a Plains, and we've got a Triumphant Adventurer. So for white and a black, you get a creature human knight, so 1/1 with Death Touch. As long as it's your turn, it has First Strike. And when it attacks you, venture into the dungeon. We've got Wild Shape, Check for Traps, and a Lightfoot Rogue. So nice little 1-2 punch of rogues in our pack here. As our uncommons, we've got a Manticore as our rulebook card. And we will flick through the rest of these wonderful, wonderful cards. Alright, next up. We've got a Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We've got a Plains. We've got a foil Neverwinter Dryad. And we've got a Yuan T. Malison. So for 1 in the blue, get a creature Snake Rogue. It can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you venture into the dungeon. We've got a Purple Worm as our cool rulebook card. Got 50 Feet of Rope and Phaedra, Devil's Chosen. We've also got a Celestial Unicorn in our rulebook artwork as well. And those are the rest of our commons there. Next pack. Dungeon of the Mad Mage token. I'm actually happy I got the oversized tokens because I can use those instead of these. Got a Swamp. And our rare is a Gelatinous Cube. So for 2 and 2 black, you get a 4/3 creature ooze. It has Engulf. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. It also has Dissolve for X and black. So you put the target creature card with mana value X exile with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. It's got a Hulking Bugbear, Plate Armor, and You Meet in a Tavern as our uncommons. Alright. Next up. Tomb of Annihilation, got a Mountain, got a foil Brazen Dwarf, and our rare is Zalto, the Fire Giant Duke, in the alternate artwork. So for 3 and 2 red, you get a legendary creature of a giant barbarian. It's a 7/3 trample, and when it's dealt damage, you venture into the dungeon. So it's basically Enrage. Got a Choose Your Weapon, Raven Filblement, and Baron of Clan Under as our uncommons. Also, the Baron is in that cool rulebook artwork right there. I've been enjoying the alternate artwork treatment for the past few sets, personally. You know, these D&D, like I said, I'm not exactly nostalgic for old D&D artwork, but there's something just real cool about them, I think. And I might have to do a video one day ranking my favourite alternate artwork treatments. Not like the full art alternate artworks, but like just the alternate artworks you can easily get. So the Tomb of Annihilation, Forest. Ooh, we've got a foil mythic here in Icing Death, Frost Tyrant. So for 2 and 2 white, you get a legendary creature, dragon, to 4/3 flying and vigilance. When it dies, you create Icing Death, Frost Tongue, a legendary white equipment artifact token with equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls, and you can equip it for 2. And we also have a Delena Wild Mage as our normal rare for the pack. So for 3 and a red, you get a legendary creature, Elf Shaman. When it attacks, you choose a target creature you control, then roll a d20. If you roll 1 to 14, you create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not a legendary, and it has exile this creature at the end of combat. If you roll the 15 to 20, create one of those tokens, roll again. If you combine this with Barbarian class and or Fairy Guide, you basically have an equivalent of Twin. Oh, as close as Twin was going to get. We've got a Split the Party, please don't, Dungeon Crawler, and Rally Maneuver as our uncommons. And those are all of our commons there for that pack. Next up, alright, so we've got a Wolf, got a Plains, we've got a Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So for 1 and 2 blue, you get a sorcery. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until that player has exiled cards with a total mana value of 20 or more. I have built a fun mill deck just for shits and giggles, really, to play in Standard, and this is a big part of it. You know, did you know resolving at least 2 of these is pretty much curtains for your opponent? Anyways, that's our rest. So we've got a Brunor, Hulking Bugbear, and you see a pair of Goblins as our uncommons to the pack. Clattering Skeletons is our rulebook card. And yeah, that's all for that one. Next up, we've got an Angel token, got a Forest, we've got a Grazilax, Illithid Scholar. So for 1 and 2 blue, get a legendary creature Horrid, so 3/2. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Got a Guild Thief, Divine Smite, and a Dryder as our uncommons. We've got a Bulette as our cool rulebook card as well. Alright, next up. Got a lovely little treasure, a swamp, and we've got a Vorpal Sword. So for a single black, you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has Death Touch. You can equip it for 2 black, and for 5 and 3 black, until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Got an Intrepid Outlander, a Temple of the Dragon Queen, and a Magic Missile as our uncommons. And here are all of our commons right here. I like Delver's Torch. Like, I think Venture is just it's a perfect mechanic just to nickel and dime. You know, just get small bits of value as you're just playing Magic. Alright, so we've got the Lost Mine of Fandelver as our token. Got a Swamp. And we have a Volo Guide to Monsters. So for 2, a green and a blue, you get a legendary creature, Human Wizard. It's a 3/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. Wild Shape, Blink Dog, and Lightfoot Rogue are our uncommons. Yeah, so that'd be an interesting commander deck, I think. Just because you really need to be picky about what creature types you cover in your deck. And Human Wizard that Volo covers is actually 2 really important ones. But I think it's just an interesting build, I think. We have an Eliwick Tumblestrom emblem. We have an island. We have a foil Froghemoth. So for 3 and 2 green, you get a creature, Frog Horror. It's a 4/4. It doesn't get bounced to that creature from Shadows of Innistrad that bounces horrors. It has trample and haste. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Froghemoth for each creature card exiled this way. You gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. Oh, we've also got a mythic in this pack because we had a foil rare, the Book of Vile Darkness. So for triple black, you get a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Tap and exile the Book of Vile Darkness and artifacts you control named Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna. Create Vecna, a black zombie god creature token with indestructible. It gains all triggered abilities of the exiled cards. We have a Kaelin Reclusive Painter, Demogorgon's Clutches, and a White Dragon as our uncommons. I've been playing with Kaelin in that treasure deck, actually, in Standard. I've been playing a lot more Standard, I think, on Arena, just because most of the times I'm too busy to get to, back when we had it, Standard nights at my local game store, so I'd use Arena to play mostly Standard. Alright, so a Tome of Annihilation, got an island, we've got a foil Grim Bounty. Hey, we got a Xanathar Guild Kingpin. This is actually another card I've been wanting to open from this set. So for 4 blue and a black, you get a legendary creature beholder to 5/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library at any time. You may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast spells this way. Got a Sudden Insight, check for traps, and a You Meet in the Tavern. As our uncommons, we've got our Owlbear as our rulebook card. And some real neat commons here, which are always the backbone of any draft deck you build, let's be real. Without good commons, your rares and mythics don't mean nothing. We've got a Spoider with Medicine Reach. Got an island. And we have Orcus, Prince of Undeath. So for X2 and a black and a red, you get a legendary creature demon. It's a 5/3 flying and trample. When Orcus, Prince of Undeath, enters the battlefield, choose 1. Each other creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. You lose X life. Return up to X target creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. This boy ends games. Got a Ray of Frost, Death Priest of Mercure, and a Skullport Merchant as our uncommons. Alright, next up. Got a Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Got a Plains. And our rare is an Orb of Dragonkind. So for 1 and a Radiant artifact, 1 on tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colours. Spend this mana to only cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. If you pay red and tap and sacrifice the orb, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a dragon card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So we've got a Kaelin, we have a Burning Hands and a Plate Armor as our uncommons. Got a Gnoll Hunter in the cool rulebook artwork. And those are all of our commons. We've only got 2 packs left, guys. This has actually gone quite quick for me. I just can't believe we're really down to 2 packs already. So, Lost Mine of Phandelver. Got a Forest. And we have a Westgate Region. So for 3 and 2 black, get a creature vampire. It's a 4/4 flying and ward of discard a card. Whenever Westgate Region deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Got a Hunter's Mark, a Bag of Holding, and an Ingenious Smith. What a place to reprint Bag of Holding. I remember when it was a rare in a random core set. And we've got an Arborea Pegasus as our cool rulebook card. Alright, and here is the last pack of the day and of the box and of this video. Alright, so we've got a Forest, we have a Mountain, we have a foil Etterguard Ranger, And we got as our rulebook card a Hive of the Eye Tyrant. It's the black version of the blue land that we opened very early on in this box. So I won't read you the most of it, but it does become for 3 and a black, a 3/3 black beholder creature with menace. And whenever this creature attacks, exile target card from a defending player's graveyard. It's still a land. We also have a fly, a battlecry goblin, and a goblin morningstar. We will flick through these commons very quickly. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe. It lets people know that I exist and that I'm making content. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can also find me at the Planeswalker Pantheon. Links are all down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.